What's up, notary nerds? I'm back and I have another instructor. Annie, I'm going to let you introduce yourself here in just a second, but you guys, we are about to be blessed with some information in an area that I know you probably have heard about, and I may be pronouncing this incorrectly, so forgive me if I am. Apostille? Is that?
Yes, yes, and
Okay,
that's
okay.
exactly.
Well, Annie is a 10-year veteran in the notary business, and she'll talk to you a little bit more about her background. But this area, apostille, I've heard it pronounced a couple of different ways. So is
Right.
one that she is very experienced in, and I'm very grateful that she's given us the opportunity to connect and plug into her knowledge. And she's going to be coming on board to help you guys diversify your notary services portfolio with the apostille service. So Annie, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank
And
you.
tell us a little bit more about you and how you got into notary work and whatever else you feel comfortable sharing.
Okay, well, thank you, Monica. First of all, so happy to be here and be part of the Notary Nerds and Complete Signings family. Yes. So yeah, with it, and I'll start with my name. My full name is Aniansi English. And of course, it takes a little getting used to. So a lot of people, even since I've been little, call me Annie. So, so I love my name and whatever you feel comfortable with, but a lot of people just call me Annie. And it's a convoluted story, but the way that it all started, and we'll end up with apostilles, and that's one of the things I'm going to talk about in the course, that nobody knows exactly how to say it, and it's logical because it's a French word.
Right.
That's the whole thing. It's a French word, and we're trying to say it in English, and so there's variations.
Mm-hmm.
But apostilles is what I'll usually use. And my road started that my first career was a writing consultant. So I would get together with folks and help them organize their ideas, proof their documents for grammar, for, syntax, for everything. Just make sure that their document was saying what they wanted to say.
Mm.
So yeah, so when you start with that, you just enjoy, at least I do, I enjoy documents, I enjoy editing. So all my life, I've worked with documents in different fields,
Okay.
like medical, legal, automotive. And here in the last 14 years, I had to get my notary commission, like many of us, for work. And that's how it started.
Wow, nice. So you
Yeah.
are an administrator at heart, it sounds like, because you have an affinity for documents. It doesn't matter kind of where the documents are coming from.
Right.
You're one of those people who can figure it out, take the document, and I call that an administrator's heart. I got a little bit of that in me too, so I can relate to you on that.
Okay.
So how did you stumble across the apostille? What was it that brought you?
Right. So because I was already translating, I speak Spanish, so I'll translate documents as well from English to Spanish. And folks in the community that needed translating would get, in touch with me. And at first I did it just something as a community service. It started, I was helping somebody and they needed something translated, and I kind of helped them there. And then they sent somebody else. And I'm like, you know what? I think this can be a little side hustle.
Right.
So that's what I would do. I would translate birth certificates. And next thing you know, I was getting a whole bunch of that. So that's one of my areas of expertise, translating birth certificates, so long as they're in Spanish. That's the only language that I know. And all of a sudden, one day, there's a frantic mom, and she's like, I need to get this. And it's like, like they say that word, and you're like, what is that? And I didn't even know what it was. And she's like, yeah, I need to get an apostille, they say, and this. And so I'm like, okay, wait, just spell it for me. She's like, I don't know how to spell it. So nobody knew anything. And I'm like, I've never even heard of this. But one of the things that I like to do, and that's what I'm going to teach also, I'd love to teach that to whoever takes the course, is research. When you don't know something, it's just going to be something new that you're going to add to your toolkit. Research. So I started researching in terms of making calls. It's like, to other notaries, what's an apostille? What's this? Has anybody heard of this special stamp? And as life would have it, I bumped into another notary, And I know, and then that's when I figured out that it was something, but that she didn't want to tell me more.
Oh, you got the lockdown, the information
Yeah,
lockdown.
yeah. She said, "Oh," but it all started because she said, "Oh, do you have one? I can do it." I was like, "Oh, somebody that knows."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so she says, yeah, 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 I can get that stamp for you. And I'll go to Nashville and I'll get it done for you. I was like, oh, well, here's the thing. I wouldn't mind you doing it, but it's a customer that came to me and I would like to help them. Can you kind of walk me through it? And she's like, oh, well, if you want me to do it, call me. But I said, but what is an apostille? Just tell me that. And she's like, well, it's something special that goes on the document, but it's too complicated. So if you decide, send the person over here. So I was like, I was
Uh,
like, okay.
okay.
So this is why I think whoever takes the class is going to be way ahead, because for years it was a very mysterious kind of thing. Nobody knew how to get it. And so students who take this are going to be way ahead of the curve, way ahead of me 10 years ago. So I'm investigating. I finally check with my county clerk and say, hey, this document needs a special kind of stamp and apostille. They're like, no, I don't know anything about that. Talk to the state. And I'm like, who in the state? They're like, talk to the state. So a million calls later, I fall with our boss for notaries, the Secretary of State. And that's when I started getting more information.
Nice. So this has been a 10-year journey for you. And for you guys, I didn't mention, Annie is a notary in the state of Tennessee. So we are in the same state, not too far away from each other.
Right.
But so your journey began about 10 years ago with this whole thing, and you had to kind of get it kind of out the mud, is what I call it.
Exactly.
Kind of yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's how it started. But our boss, the Tennessee Secretary of State, and actually all notaries, their state's Secretary of State is their boss. They have the goods. And 10 years ago, there wasn't that, Google was here, but there wasn't that much information on there. Right,
right. So when it comes down to it, this is going to be probably a good opportunity for people who have very, is it important to have a lot of people who are going across, traveling? Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, apostilles have to do with, so it's, and that's what I'll go over in the course. You've got a document, it's got to travel somewhere, and that other country wants to know that it's authentic. But what's authentic? The content, the officials who signed it, those are the things that we'll go over.
Okay.
What's the difference between a public document and a private document?
Okay.
Does it matter where the document originated from? Does it matter where it's going?
Right.
So there's a lot of intricacies. Yeah, there's a lot of intricacies, and it's going to vary. And even if you just call your Secretary of State and get instructions, if you don't know the terms that they're saying, you don't really know what the next step is. So that's what I'd like to demystify in this course.
And so how much like business is there out there in this area? Like, is it pretty?
Yeah, well, let's put it this way. I think if everybody stops to think, do I hear other languages in my region or in my area? Do I see, is there a college? Is there a university? Is there a city nearby?
Okay.
Are there businesses? And let's say I live in a rural area, but I want to drum up business, then I can maybe reach out to a university. It can be 2 hours away because the whole process can be done by mail.
Oh, girls.
Yeah, so we'll go into that, because of course most people that need an apostille need it yesterday.
Okay.
So there's that rush factor. But, maybe we can collaborate as notaries, and if somebody's closer to the Secretary of State for their particular state, you can kind of do a partnership.
You guys, okay, so this is going to be the cool thing about Annie's class. In every class that's taught at Notary Nerds, the instructors are going to give you what you need, right, in order to go and hit the ground running. But what's going to be cool about Annie's class is not only is she going to give you what you need, but there's going to be opportunities for you to have your hand held after the fact, and she'll talk to you guys more about that once she teaches it. But just know that you'll have everything you'll need, but just like most of us, even though we take a class and we learn it, we still want somebody when we get our first one to be there and to kind of walk us through it so that we actually aren't, messing anything up. Even though we know it, we just like that extra confidence. So know that that'll be available to you. There was something else I wanted to ask you about. Oh, a lot of people are all doing loan signings and, $75, $85 to $150 is kind of like the range that most people are getting for loan signings. Where does Apostille fit into that whole range of income situation?
Right. See, and so this is why maybe you're, and mostly the apostilles, if you wait for it, it's going to be, far and few. If you just wait for them, if you're not close to a metropolitan area or close to a college. However, if you already know who's going to possibly need an apostille, mostly like graduating students who've come from abroad to study, they're going to need that transcript apostille to take it back to their country. They're going to need that, even their diploma or their, if they're exchange students and have taken courses and such. So why not look, kind of market into that area so you can get more. So once you start getting them, it's going to depend on the client's urgency. That's a lot that has to do with it. But let's say the person says, no, take your time. Then you can check in your area what it's running for. But sometimes it's like $300 for a document. Yep. And of course and we'll go over that in the course, there's costs that you need to take into account, if you're going to be, because you want those documents, once the Secretary of State apostilles it, you want it expressed back to you, maybe FedEx, so there's a tracking.
Okay.
And that original document doesn't get lost.
I see.
So there's a little bit of expense along the way, and you're going to maybe serve as a courier, but what you guys can do is check, Google as if you were wanting an apostille and see what it's running for in your area. And that's going to give you a ballpark.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm so excited. I think that you're going to help so many notaries because, the loan signing business is great, but we know that interest rates determine the volume on that note. And it's always a good idea to have other things that you can do with your commission. So that you diversify and are not having like all your eggs in one basket. So
in one basket, that's correct.
I love
and
it.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it, and we want to make it interactive. And the students, many people will be at varying degrees of knowledge on the apostille. So some may have questions, and we'll try to make sure we get them all covered.
Right. I'm so excited, Annie. Thank you so much for giving me the time today just to let everybody get to meet your beautiful face and all of the knowledge.
Right back at you.
Thank you, and all the knowledge that you have. I'm so excited. And guys, Notary Nerds University, definitely check us out. I'm just wanting to bring you as much of Annie and people like Annie as I can, just to help you grow your business in any way possible. Go ahead.
And Monica, sorry, when were we thinking that? We're thinking maybe getting the course going in February or late February?
Thank you for stopping me. We have talked about the last week of February as being the days, and it's going to be up to Annie's schedule, obviously, because she obviously is a notary. She has her own business. And so as all the other instructors, they kind of teach at their leisure. So look forward to it the last week of February. I'll have it up on the calendar as soon as Annie and I figure out those dates and secure those. But it's going to be a February offering, and that's going to be perfect timing because it'll give you an opportunity to get that much needed marketing plan in place. Because again, it sounds like you want to be intentional about your marketing efforts when you add this service to your portfolio. So
yes, that is correct.
All right.
And thank you, Monica, for giving us this platform. Glad to be here.
I'm so excited. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you soon. And again, Annie, thank you so much. And I'll talk to you later.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.